Here at Stories of Hope, Kerry Atherton's mission is to give people a platform to share their stories of hope with the world. We also want to provide the same chance to businesses that are passionate about mental health and want to support the podcast. If you'd like to partner with Stories of Hope and advertise your services on this podcast, send a message to kerry@empowerlifesolutions.com.au with your details. Now, on with the episode. In times of trauma and adversity, we must create space for connection by sharing a story of hope. Welcome to Stories of Hope Worldwide, hosted by Kerry Atherton. This podcast shares inspiring stories of individuals who have faced significant challenges and emerged stronger, offering hope and resilience to listeners all over the world. Join Kerry, the founder of Stories of Hope, every week to hear these remarkable journeys and find strength to overcome your adversity. Now, let's listen in to this week's conversation.
Welcome to another episode of Stories of Hope Worldwide. I'm Kerry Atherton and I'm your host, and today's guest is Ironman TJ Hendy. Today we're going to be chatting to him about life behind the scenes, his career, the setbacks, and the return to his passion after long COVID. Welcome, TJ.
Hey, thanks for having me, Kerry. I really appreciate it.
Oh, so excited to be talking to you today. I've had a couple of sportsmen on, but not an Ironman before. So, yeah, really excited.
If there's an Ironman you want on, it's me. No, I'm just joking.
I know, right?
Got tickets on myself.
No, but look, I love your philosophy. I was actually doing a bit of a big read up about you, and you say in one of your statements that we are not defined by our thoughts, careers, achievements or labels, whether athlete, father or anything else. And I love that because behind the scenes and what everyone sees in public, we are human and humans struggle.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think, for me, I've seen life from so many different perspectives. I've been a dad, I am a dad. I've been an Ironman. I'm returning to Ironman. I've had jobs. I've had challenges with my thoughts, my feelings, all different things. And then I've just been, obviously school life and freedom and experienced all of it and challenges. And yeah, I think I've got a little bit of a different take on life than probably most do. But, I definitely still really connect with the human part of us all that, has the challenges and the hardships.
Yeah, and I know there's so many different facets to your story, and that's why I think it's such an important story to share. TJ, what do you think does define us?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I think the essence of who we are behind all of it, behind life, behind the human lens that we see things through is probably where I sit. And it's like the consciousness, the observer behind, all of what we're experiencing. And I think connecting with that, like real awareness that we are, and each individual authenticity that is experiencing, all the different experiences we can have. And, I believe the highest kind of vibration is authenticity. And so I think, really being able to connect in with who you naturally are away from all the different programs and thoughts and fears and stuff like that you've picked up along the way. I believe that's what defines us, who we are behind all of that.
Yeah, I love that. And it's great that you've been able to develop that away from the public eye, because it's probably very difficult for someone like you that is always has been in the spotlight. So you're the son of a very well-known athlete, Trevor Hendy.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about what life was like growing up in that household with Trevor as your dad, and also the greatest things that he modelled to you that you've adapted into your own life today?
Look, I think firstly, I'm pretty much Trevor Jr. I'm Trevor Jack, but I'm the one that's named after him. So I'm also, that's where TJ comes from. And I'm the only one in the family that followed in his footsteps and decided to be an Ironman. But growing up for me, you know, it was different. Like we'd go to McDonald's and get it for free on the Gold Coast. We'd go to, you know, the cops would stop us and ask for a photo, you know, like little different things like that. And the teachers would ask me, are you linked to Trevor? And yep, that's my dad, you know. So it was always obviously a spotlight on him. And, you know, it's not as much now, but, you know, definitely as I was 5 to 10 years old, it was kind of when he was a household name around the Gold Coast. And then, you know, still to this day, he is, but just not to the degree he was.
Tell us for the younger generation who might be listening and weren't around when he was really achieving at his highest level. Can you just tell us a bit about your dad and what he did and what he achieved?
Yeah, so some people believe he was and is to this day the greatest Ironman of all time. Wow. Surf Ironman is, you know, created out of lifeguarding and life saving, and so he was pretty much a 6'3" man running around in barely anything on the beach with a 6-pack, going as a guest star on Baywatch, home and away, and then winning Ironman races as well. And he was the biggest summer star, you know, in Australian sport at the time. There was cricket and Ironman. That was the two big sports.
Yeah.
And so I've heard lots of times people come up to me and say, I know your dad, you know, women wanted to be with him and men wanted to be him. You know, it was just, he had a ponytail and, you know, the really Aussie voice and wore the Oakleys and, you know, like definitely represented Australian sport in a, you know, like, and brought that to the forefront of, like, you know, what an elite athlete looks like.
They were great days in Australia back then, weren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And it was a lot simpler. There was a lot less distractions, right? You know? And I think that's leading into something else we'll talk about soon, but so many different distractions. But yeah, my dad was someone that he's always owned working on himself and, you know, challenging himself and trying to be more present and be more available in each moment, no matter what that looked like. And to me, I think he always kind of represented someone that was willing to clear his mind, clear his energy and get on with it in a different way, you know, not like the manly way of just get on with it, but more of a, okay, how can I be more myself right in this moment? What's stopping me?
More in touch with his emotions than the typical Aussie guy back then.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing was not even emotions, but just seeing the thoughts as energies coming through and not choosing to believe in them all the time, you know, because we do have a lot of stuff that comes into our space and into our minds that isn't necessarily our truth.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think he just led the way in being an observer of all that sort of stuff. And for me, that led me into an Ironman career where I was conscious and I was egoic as a young kid as well. And I had a little battle between the two because once you kind of know something and you kind of see the magic in all of life, I think the ego should challenge you in a lot of different ways. That's been one of my big challenges throughout my career is my ego.
Well, good on you. That's a hard thing for a lot of people to admit.
Yeah.
I think it's great that you can say that because it is so true, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like just a tiny bit of exposure, a tiny bit of fame, and ego can just take over and can destroy someone's life.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it destroyed yours, but I've seen it happen so often, people that just rise up a little bit and then ego takes over and they just become someone totally different to their, as you mentioned before, authentic self.
And to me, I think, Kerry, I think the basis of the ego is fear, and it's the little version of ourselves that tries to hold on to control.
Yeah.
And so what it does is takes you away from what's real and then puts you in a place where you're kind of always perpetually moving forward with an unconscious anxiety, you know, and so it masks itself as self-belief, but really it's like the opposite. Yeah, I think that's probably been my journey is to understand who I am, you know, and I have a good representation of who that is these days. And now it's not about trying to kill the ego or anything like that. It's kind of now understanding it and living with it and embracing it as one part of who I am. So I just try to integrate that every day now. Like, what are my thoughts? What are my feelings? What are my wants? What are my needs?
Yeah, no, that's great stuff right there. TJ, how old were you when your journey started as an Ironman?
Yeah, I qualified for the professional Ironman series just before I turned 22.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was the equal youngest in the professional series that year. And we only raced 3 times for that professional series. I got last in my first race, 12th in my second race, and 9th in my third race. So I had like a really nice, steady increase each race.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I set a goal after that to win a race the next season, with my best race ever being a 9th place. And I wasn't even in the professional series for the next year. So I had to go qualify again and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, my journey started there, and I went and actually won the first race of the professional series the next year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So that's such a huge thing, isn't it, coming back from being last in your first race? I mean, look, I was last in my swimming races.
Yeah.
But I wasn't an Ironman. I was the biggest girl in the class, and I couldn't really swim that
Yeah.
well. But the humiliation, I still remember the humiliation that I felt. And I think it really takes something special to be able to step out of that fear of humiliation and try again.
Yeah, and sometimes that's what the ego is good for. It's just that part of you that doesn't want to give up and doesn't want to be seen a certain way and doesn't want to be portrayed a certain way. Sometimes that's a good thing, like sometimes that's healthy. So it's like, I've got to get back up because I need to let people know that this isn't me. I think that's important to recognize that's, those sometimes the pain and allowing the bit of pain is a good thing because it sparks something beautiful in us.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I haven't got this in my questions, but when you were talking just then, I just want to ask you, who are you today?
Right now,
Yeah. It's a deep question, isn't it?
I'd say the strange one, and take what you want from it, but I would say I'm the witness.
Right. Tell me more about that.
I just feel like I'm just witnessing. It's like I'm watching a movie and I'm really enjoying the movie.
Wow, that's great. Because I know you've been through a lot of heartache as well.
Yeah.
Before we go into that, can you tell us what your hardest race was?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh,
Like as if we're in it, So for those of us that aren't Ironmen and get in the water and everything like that.
So there's a race in our sport. It's called the Coolangatta Gold. It's only about just under 3 hours now, but when I was 7, 8 years ago when this happened, it was 4 hours 20-ish. I'd won a race and I'd started to, like identify myself as someone that could be pretty good, and start to challenge things and try to win races. So I'd done all this training for the Coolangatta Gold, and it's a 20-week training block. And, I'm like, all right, I need to start winning everything. I just need to start going for it. And that led me to overtraining and burning myself out a lot, which has actually been a big lesson in my whole career, is like actually going too hard.
Right.
And for like 4 to 5 weeks before it, I would show up on a Saturday, which was our big key training session, which would go for 3 to 4 hours. And I'd just pull out. Like my body was cooked. Like I was hot, and I just overtraining, probably under eating. And I was like, oh man, like what do I do? Like I'm just so confused. And I kind of popped through the other side of it a little bit, but you've got the residual kind of fatigue in your body still. Like it takes a little bit to recover from training and from fatigue in general.
Yeah.
And so I lined up with the Coolangatta Gold and thought like, I'm going to have a red hot crack here. I'm still fit, I'm going to go for it. And I was in second place, and I like in the swim leg after 2 hours pretty much. And my body just started cramping from my ears all the way down to my big toe. I was cramping from my ears to my pinky fingers and my thumbs, and then to my big toe. I was in a full body cramp. Like I just couldn't swim. Like literally, I could have drowned. Like it was like to the point where I was just like I couldn't even lay on my back and float. So we're in this sport, and we're lucky enough that they at that time, because there's been a few different things go on, they make sure you have a safety swimmer beside you, a safety paddler. So they're on the board while you're swimming. So they're floating around beside you to make sure that you don't drown, pretty much, in case you have a heart attack or something goes on or you cramp up like I did. And Dad was the person beside me as my safety paddler. And he just said, let's see if we can flush it out. And we tried for like a minute. And I'm just, as soon as I touch his board, I'm pretty much disqualified. So I can't touch it. And I'm just kind of bobbing there in the water, and it was just not going. And it turned into hypothermia, the cold one.
Hypothermia?
Yeah, hypothermia. So I was shivering. I had a aluminium over me when I got to the beach. And for like a week after, I was just so sore. And that's actually happened to me a few times in that particular race, just from, like having not finishing that race, but just tying my worth to it and the experience itself, the pain, the cramps, like nothing even goes close to the amount of pain that caused me physically. But then another one that ties into, is it's only a 12-minute race, is the Australian Ironman title. And this one hurt me emotionally. So what happened was, I'm in the final. My dad's won 6 of these Australian Ironman titles. My dream is to win one. There's about 1 wave left in the race and I'm leading by about 30 metres, and all I have to do is hold this wave to the beach and I've won the Australian title. And I go over the falls and land on the sandbank instead of catching it all the way in. That one kind of residually sat in my body. I ended up having the next 2 people come down the next wave and we got in a sprint up the beach and I got beaten and I ended up 3rd place. I got beaten and that one left residual challenges in me emotionally for probably till about the last couple of months, like working through, oh man, that really, really, really like made me feel unsafe every single time I went back to racing after that. It was like to have your heart just broken, like it's like having a girlfriend cheat on you or something like that, like you have a relationship with this sport and you're trying to give it unconditional love.
Yeah.
And it's like it just punches you in the face. And that's what sport's amazing for, is like, for me, I'm learning how to get back up and go again. But I think that's where being Trevor Hendy's son and the pressure of that and just being so close to having my moment, it just like kind of shattered me into like a million little pieces. And it's like since then I've been going around with a plastic bag trying to pick them all up.
Oh gosh, yeah, I can imagine that must have been so traumatic.
Yeah.
Like you said, physically and emotionally.
Yeah.
It kind of ties into a bit of post-traumatic stress, doesn't it?
Yeah, and you don't want to, tie it towards what some people experience as post-traumatic stress, because it's I'm living my dream. I'm leading a race. I'm healthy. I've got money and I've got sponsors. But for me, it was real. Like it was really real.
And it's all relative. Like I was only saying this to a guest the other day, that what somebody's experience of trauma is can be so different to someone else, but it doesn't make it any less for that person.
Yeah, yeah. That's kind of been my journey, is like since that moment to reconnect with Ironman racing. And if I was conditional then, in the relationship with Ironman racing, it's like I'm unconditional now. It's like I showed up and I was 10 kilos overweight for the summer, just knowing that I'm going to get back to my best. But I was showing up and everyone would see me and it was like, that's not TJ Hendy that wins races, but he's here anyway,
Yeah. I love that resilience.
Yeah. And so for me, I've been in a mastery process where it's like learning how to love unconditionally and just to do everything it takes, no matter the circumstances, the obstacles, the feelings, the emotions that come up. And that's why I say I'm the witness, is because I can sit there and I can see all of them, but it feels like a beautiful movie because it feels like I'm immersed in it and I'm going, every challenge I see and I'm like, whoa, like this is hard. I'm going to feel this because like right now this is going to feel hard. But on the other side of things, maybe in a week, I'm going to feel the opposite. And then I'll ride that scene, I'll ride that scene and I'll ride the scene of joy. And then the next moment might be back in a challenge and, working out different things or the baby's not sleeping or someone's, something's going on or whatever, but running towards the feelings, running towards the emotions and embracing them and doing it, and just fully just allowing it.
I love that. That's so amazing. And you mentioned about the word doing it now unconditionally.
Yeah.
And when we don't have conditions and stringent expectations attached, it just takes off so much pressure, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think that's probably like the answer to probably most people's problems is that they've got conditions attached to what they're doing. There's judgment on how it looks.
Yeah.
There's judgment on asking for help. There's judgment on if they're doing it right, if it's ever going to work out. And so they're just in this judgment loop of like, is this ever going to play out how I want it to in my mind?
Yeah.
As you hear this story, what Kerry's discussing might be resonating strongly with you. Perhaps you've experienced something similar yourself and are looking for support. Kerry Atherton is an experienced counsellor and wellbeing coach and has private sessions available if you or someone you know needs some help. You don't have to deal with trauma, addiction, PTSD, and abuse alone. If you'd like to talk about today's episode or your own experiences, book a session with Kerry at empowerlifesolutions.com.au or check the link in the show notes and embrace a future filled with hope. Now back to the episode.
We often hear about, and you talked about your identity was wrapped up in your performance for the race before.
Yeah.
And we talk about it in footy terms, you hear the word post-player depression.
Yeah.
What we're really talking about now and what I want to touch on is post-profession depression. Because as you said, so many people's identity is wrapped up in what they do, not who they are. And when they don't do what they think they should do or to the level that they think they can, so many people just crumble.
Yeah.
So when did things start to crumble for you? Because I know that you also got COVID and you struggled with long COVID as well. And you've also talked about struggling with, your mental health also. And so when did things start to go downhill?
Probably after that race, the Australian Ironman titles race, going from first to third. My experience was with my ex-partner, we ended up splitting up about a year or so after that, or a couple of years after that. But it's just like I was trying to pretend that I wasn't heartbroken in the sport for for 2 or 3 years. So I was just a version of myself that, wasn't 100%. And so I think there was no flow from, through mind, body, spirit, so if the mind's got the thoughts and you're trying to avoid them, the body's got the feelings, you're trying to avoid them, then, you're left with almost just disconnecting and just being in, a place where it's like, you're not really in your body.
Let's escape however we can.
Yeah. And I think I got a different take, and I think take it as you want to take it. But I think my experiences with long COVID and injuries and all that sort of stuff, I think that's been a representation of a guy that just didn't feel safe to go back to Ironman racing and not have his heart broken, So I think I almost drew in my immune system being low and getting the COVID, and then, it turning into a problem. Like I got inflammation of the heart a couple of times. It's like that to me is a story that's like, why is my heart inflamed? I'm a young guy. COVID is pretty gnarly, but I know all these other people that have got COVID and not had this issue. Why is my heart inflamed? It's like, tie it back to that's a broken heart.
I thought that's where you're coming from. Yeah.
Yeah. If I didn't get long COVID twice, and I had to withdraw from one series because of it, and I had another one where I showed up and I was just nowhere near my best. About a month before it, I was really, really fit, and I got kicked out of the series because I didn't get through the first race. So I've missed 2 seasons from it. And if I didn't have those experiences, there's a couple of things that wouldn't have happened. Like I wouldn't have met my partner that I'm with now. I wouldn't have had, the kid that I've got now. My firstborn also right at the same time came because I had stress fractures in my back, like there's all these things that have played out, but also they're like moments and things that have played out physically, but also emotionally, I've understood myself because of those moments. Like I wouldn't have learned that there was a scared, broken-hearted Ironman underneath all of that if I didn't have those obstacles. And I might have just gone through my career and just got 7th, 8th, 9th places and then gone on to the next thing and not fully succeeded because I didn't know, oh shit, I got to learn this opportunity. I got to learn this thing about unconditional love, So I do see all of the different thoughts and whether it's depression or anxiety that came through my experience in the last little while. Ultimately, I don't identify with them being me anymore, It's like, I think a lot of people will say, I have anxiety or I have depression. It's like, anxiety is a feeling.
That's right.
And depression is a feeling. Yes, they are an experience, but they're not you. That's not something that you have.
Yeah.
It's something that you're feeling. And also people look for happiness. I want to be happy. Happy is a feeling.
Yeah.
That's something that you can experience amongst all the different spectrums of feelings, but it's not something you're going to keep in your life every single day. It's overall the willingness to feel all the emotions that allows you to be free. And then happiness comes in a little bit more often when you're allowed to be upset and you're allowed to be angry and you're not in judgment of those feelings.
Oh, I love your insight so much. I really resonate with all of that. So many people, don't they? They're just like searching for the perfect day.
Yeah.
Something that I say is they're like every day will not be perfect, but there are perfect moments in every day.
Yeah.
And we find what we look for.
Yeah, absolutely. As soon as you embrace the imperfections, they actually become perfections. It's like this, it's like they all of a sudden flip and you look at them and you're like, it looks so different when you're okay with it being uncomfortable or you're okay with a bit of pain. And I do see it as every businessman or athlete or professional at any level that's succeeded has not let feelings or emotions be a reason not to do something.
Yeah, right.
I had this little thing the other day. It's like, F your feelings, because mastering something and winning and your bank account doesn't care about your feelings. From that level, you're just go feel them all. Don't avoid them, but when you feel them, also don't not do the thing that you want to do because you have a feeling. Don't not go to the gym because you feel tired or you feel sad, because then ultimately you go to the gym and you believe the gym and you don't feel sad anymore.
Yeah, that's right.
But when we start to get in a situation where, and this is so much easier said and like talking from a happy place and going to this place where it's like talking about things, but people are right now in the middle of a storm. And when you're in the middle of a storm, you can't see sunshine and you can't see the rainbow yet. You're right in the middle of it and it's pissing down, it's blowing winds and you don't know which way to go, right? That's the most challenging part is when you start, there's the old story is the buffalo compared to all the other animals will run towards the storm because they know the storm will pass quicker if they run towards it. Whereas all the other animals, birds and, whether it's the lions or the tigers or whatever, will run away from it. And the buffalo will run through it. And then their time in the storm is then half the amount of the time of all the other animals. And so if you relate that to life, don't think you're not going to have anxiety. Don't think you're not going to be depressed at certain times or you're not going to feel like there's going to be moments you don't feel good enough, you don't feel safe, or you don't feel like you can do it. That's the opportunity.
Yeah, that's great. And something that I had to tell myself years ago, because, I talk about it quite a bit on my podcast, but I was an alcoholic and addicted to pills as well. And I was constantly trying to escape, the fear and the anxiety and the self-loathing and escape from myself, really. And the hardest thing, for an addict or alcoholic or anyone addicted to something is learning to sit in the pain and sit in those hard emotions. And I was so ruled by them. I cried every day for about 2 years after I got sober and I didn't know whether I'd ever not have a day when I'd be like that. And when I met my husband, I used to talk about different feelings that I was having and that I was concerned about. And he used to say all the time, feelings aren't facts. It's just something, a really crucial thing that really got me through and helped me to get out of that blind mindset that I was in.
Yeah.
Because they're not facts. And like you say, they'll pass.
Mm.
You feel happy one minute, sad the next. But I think, the greatest thing and it sounds like from what you've shared too, that finding the gratitude in the middle of the storm is the
Yes.
greatest gift.
Absolutely. And thanks for letting me know and sharing with that, because I hadn't looked into much of all of what you've been through, but that's beautiful to know as well that, amongst everything that's going on, everyone has something playing out.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing is the judgment of it. When you were in it, how much were you judging yourself?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Can't remember. I mean, obviously now that I'm sober, it's a different story and I've been sober for a long time, but I can't remember a time where I ever, up to that point and probably along a few years into my sobriety, where I did feel worthy and wasn't judging myself.
Yeah.
And it's not until I learnt how to love myself, and we were talking about expectations before, to drop those expectations of others, and that includes myself, that I really felt free. And from that point, I very rarely experience disappointment today. I just, because I don't, but it's a fine line, isn't it? Because obviously if you're an athlete and you're going out and you're trying to win a race and achieve a certain thing, you have to have some expectations there. But I think it's learning to hold expectations loosely.
Absolutely.
Then if things don't work out, it's like you said, perspective is everything. And well, what story am I going to tell myself now to enable me to move forward? And my life took a totally different path. I was meant to be a professional jazz musician, and I ended up the Blinken counsellor for 20 years and through the trenches of life with people. But, that I've learnt, as you have, through the hard times, I've learnt how to find the joy in that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So I coach, high performers. I coach a couple of business people. I've coached people with addiction, getting them back on a healthy path to make clearer decisions. One thing I've always said to everyone is, no matter what, we're all experiencing the same energy, and it's like an energy that wants us to give up. And whether it's playing out through a sport, through a addiction, whatever. I'm addicted to sport, and I've been addicted to other things in my life, whether it's food, whether it's just general getting love and affection from everyone. I've been addicted to all different types of things, and everyone's addicted to something in some shape or form.
They are, yeah, indeed.
And when we stop judging everyone else and trying to change everyone else, we actually finally go, oh, I've also allowed myself to be exactly how I am right now. And this self-love comes in and the judgment on yourself goes, and then you're free. You go, oh, I don't need the drink. I don't need the this. I don't need the that, I don't need to win the Ironman race to be happy. I don't need the Hungry Jack's burger to be happy. I don't need, whatever it is. But everyone's got something that happiness is going to be on the other side of, or some sort of comfort they're going to be on the other side of. And it's all self-judgment, just trying to get away from self-judgment.
Yeah, and I think contentment is something that is so difficult in today's society.
Yeah.
Because there's so much comparison out there and, toxic definitions of success. And I think as a society, what everyone is striving for is contentment, but they really need a roadmap on how to try and find that again.
Yeah, for sure.
TJ, what was the catalyst that caused you to get back up again after that really, really hard time in your life where you were so afraid and you felt like you'd had a broken heart?
I think it was just the fact that I realized that giving up was harder than keeping going.
Oh, I loved that.
There's a scene in, I think it's the Never Ending Story or something like that. And it's like, well, the moment you lose hope, you may as well, that's the end, you know, like it's like you got to have hope for something, whether it's just changing or making someone smile today or winning an Ironman race or, you know, seeing the person you haven't seen in a long time or earning the money, you know, as soon as you have hope, you've got everything you need, you know?
It's my favourite word.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hence, we're on Stories of Hope. So that is a
Yeah.
beautiful message. TJ, what was your best day or what's been your best day?
I've got 2 kids myself and a stepson that lives with me full time. My stepson teaches me how to be youthful and get out of self-judgment all the time. Anytime I'm being hard on him, I realize I'm being hard on the younger version of myself that, you know, wasn't safe to just be himself. And then I let go and I usually have an awesome day of just feeling free and feeling like, you know, connected to him, connected to my partner. And that for me is like one of the best days.
Beautiful.
But Adeline, my first daughter, when she came along, I just remember just being ecstatic for a week after and just going, whoa, what is this? And then Isla, that is 7 months old now, when she came along, I had to go to work the next morning. And it was like a week or 2 later when I realized she really just started to like look at me and I was like, wow, she's teaching me something different as well. You know, like they free you out on some sort of level that it means that you come back to the moment. And it's never been something. My best day's never been something. It's been a feeling that comes when you recognize a part of yourself. And as she taught me how to be present again by being a man and doing what was needed to be done in that moment and just to be okay with that. And then Adeline taught me how to she set me on the path of being like falling in love with myself again.
Oh,
Aubrey, my stepson, teaches me how to bring the youthful joy back to my life. You know, so any good moment and my partner Georgia, like sometimes we have an hour chat and like it's just a cuddle after that, where it's like breaking down some form of an illusion that we thought was real, you know, where we say the feelings, you know, aren't facts, you know, where they felt factual for a little bit when we talked about them and went, oh, they were bullshit.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
Those moments with kids are just so magical, aren't they? I mean, I've got 2 amazing kids myself, but back then when they were born, I was still very messed up.
Yeah.
And I mean, they were very amazing times, but my first granddaughter was born 9 months after my mum died at 66.
Yeah.
And then I had another beautiful granddaughter born 2 years after that.
Yeah.
I think, you know, I really just those, like you said, those moments when I would see them were just so life-giving and just brought me so much joy.
Yeah. It's so beautiful. And it's like one of
Middle of the darkness, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like that's those things that's like if you're numb and if you're closed off and if you're in judgment,
You miss
you
out.
don't experience those.
Yes.
You don't get those moments of, oh my God, this is absolute chaos, but I would not change it for the world. This is so much going on in my world and my field right now. But if I had to change one moment in my whole life, I wouldn't, you know? And that's what the kids and grandkids give to you. Everything I've done everything I've done that I thought was wrong led back to this moment, then nothing I've done has ever been wrong.
Oh,
You know?
that's awesome. I love that. So how old are you now, TJ? Because you're just about to launch back in as a full-time passion project, I think you said this time, not a full-time profession, but a full-time passion project. And I love that. So how old are you now?
31.
Wow. Okay. So what does life look like now, launching back into being an athlete again?
I'm a big believer that we're connected to the divine, you know, that we're connected to, some people say God, some people say whatever, some people say the universe. I say maybe oneness, where everything's connected. The tree outside and us are connected.
Yeah.
And I've been shown, and it feels like I'm in this situation right now where it's just asking me to go for it. and I lost a few support work clients. I was doing a bit of support work. You just looked at all the different things and I lost all these things and I went, oh my God, I'm completely free to go be an Ironman right now.
Wow.
I'm completely free to go forward with all my time and go 100% in. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of daunting, Oh, okay, but I loved it. And I was like, so for the last 6 to 8 weeks, that it's been just working through that and going, okay, so my job again is an Ironman. I'm not getting paid for this job right now. Oh my God. So what I've done is like, obviously my philosophy and the way that I do things is different to a lot of people. But along the way of Ironman and life, I've learned some key things, and I've done team building. I've done, speaking engagements. I've done coaching of high performers and 20s to 30s in business and stuff like that. And so what I've just done is created a business as the Ironman. Instead of asking for sponsorship, I'm asking for partnership, where I'll do 2 team building events or 1 team building event for this corporate business, and you can align with me as TJ Hendy on my journey, and I'll give you what you guys need in your business as well to thrive. So I need the money.
Yeah.
You guys need the culture. So let's come together, give each other something, create some content out of it. You get your brand on my, board and ski, and I get to go race and do what I love. You guys get to do what you love, and then we're in partnership. We're in a relationship from then on.
That's awesome.
Whereas in the past, it's been like a very athlete thing to do is be, hey, give me money. I'm going to go win races. If I win, your sticker will be on my craft. If I get in the newspaper, your sticker will be in my craft. And there's no real love in that. There's some people
there's
love
a lot of pressure
that.
Too. Pressure to make it happen too, and to win doing that too, isn't it?
Yeah. So I've kind of set myself up in a different way to also transition into doing that full time after Ironman, because that's what I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about this conversation, and I'm passionate about letting people realize they're already enough, and that businesses or people already have exactly everything that they need to succeed, as well as in this moment where I've lost all the work and all that sort of stuff. It's like, oh my God, I've got everything I need to succeed right now too.
Yeah, and you've certainly got so much gold to offer others. So the insights that you've brought out today, are just really amazing. And yeah, I'd highly recommend you to anyone for business coaching. So
yeah, thank you.
We put your name out there. So as we come to a close now, because we do have to finish at some time, even though I'd love to keep talking, what's your message for the world?
My message for the world is, when you embrace that there's no life without death, that there's no love without fear, that there's no happiness without sadness, that everything will be all right.
Oh, I love that so much. Well, TJ, you're an absolute inspiration. And I know that so many people are really going to find so much hope and motivation for their own lives through listening to you today. So thank you so much.
Well, I'll keep listening to the stories, and I love that you still got hope, and that's all we need.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kerry.
See ya.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to Stories of Hope with Kerry Atherton. If this conversation helped you, please consider sharing the podcast with a friend or leaving a rating and review on your podcast player. If you'd like to find out more about Kerry Atherton, head to storiesofhope.com.au, where you can purchase her books or find her next event. Check the show notes for links and information about our guests in this episode. And remember, you don't have to walk your path alone.